This all started over a year ago when I was in Thailand. Every cool kid there had this weird creature hanging from their bag, and I was obsessed. I had to have one. Recently, Labubus have blown up on the internet. I even saw someone recreate one using the face of one of those Bratz baby dolls. And I thought, why not take it a step further and make one completely from scratch. Now, I've never made anything like this before, so you're gonna see the whole process, mistakes and all. But if I can do it, anyone can. In the end, it actually turned out pretty amazing and I'm really proud of myself.
So good! Wow!
I even put together a step-by-step guide so you can do it yourself. More on that later. As a starting point, I took one of my OCs that I've had since I was like 10 and created a bunch of sketches on what my Labubu might look like. I decided to go with circular eyes just because I thought it might be cuter, and also I had an idea on how I could recreate them. I began by mixing some polymer clay to make the face and the feet. This was a lot harder than I thought it would be because my clay had dried and it was cracking, so I had to spend ages warming it up. I somehow managed to perfectly mix the color for the take a seat Labubu's skin tone, but as you'll find out later, that didn't really matter. I got out some tin foil to make the face to support the face because I wanted it to be curved and it wouldn't stand up, so I thought that it would be a lot easier if I just shaped it onto some tinfoil. I made dents for the eyes. I tried to add some eyebrows, but I struggled with blending them in perfectly, so I just kind of shaped the face to look like it had eyebrows. Then I began on the feet and hands, and this was really difficult, especially by this point when the clay was super soft. I tried putting it in the fridge for a bit, but that didn't really help, so I ended up sculpting them off camera because eventually I kind of figured out how to do it. I also used some tinfoil to support it and to make it hollow so that I could then attach it to the body easier. I used the back of a hairbrush to sculpt the hand. Later redo the nose, so here I am putting in the eyes because they finally came. I had to order them, and I redid the nose to make it a bit smoother. I also added holes along the outline of the face so that I could attach it later on. I also added holes to the arms and legs so that I could also sew them to the fabric. Then I began tracing around my Labubu to figure out the pattern. I have created a really detailed instructions and printable pattern that I'm going to put on my Etsy, so I'll link that down below. I placed all the pattern pieces onto my fabric. This is just some scraps we had laying around, but it was perfect for what I was doing. And then I put them aside because I don't have any fabric scissors, so I had to go all the way back to my mum's house to cut them out. Around with what I wanted the eyes to look like. I realized that my initial design had a different nose from the Labubu nose, so I didn't really know which one I wanted to go with. I took a photo of the faceplate with my iPad and then traced over it so that I could experiment with a few different designs. I decided to go with the more accurate Labubu nose. I then painted the eyes with some UV nail polish, and this is what they came out looking like. When I got out all the clay pieces out of the oven, they were still hot. I separated them from the foil so that it was a bit easier and they were a bit more flexible, but I did almost burn my fingers, so please be careful. It's better to just let them cool and be a bit more patient. I went to my mum's house to use her fabric scissors to look for some more materials for the details. I found this piece of scrap fabric that was perfect for the ears. I also found some embroidery yarn that I would use to add the details in the ears. And I found, I don't think I show it here, but I found a ribbon that was perfect to make it into a keychain. I don't show any footage of this, but while I was messing around with the faceplate, I got a bunch of dust on it, and I really didn't like how that looked, so I decided to paint it. Unfortunately, I didn't have any acrylics, so I had to do it with gouache, which meant I couldn't really layer it, and I also watered it down way too much. So I ended up doing a few coats, and the face ended up with these this marble effect. Washing it all off, and it stained the clay, so it looked pretty horrible. I ended up repainting it again off camera, this time more successfully. Ordeal. I began to sew all of the pieces together. It took ages, but it was pretty fun because I could do it while watching something, and everything went according to plan, to be honest. This is me attaching the leg to the body. That's what it looked like. I was really happy with it at that point. I knew it was all coming together. Me repainting the face again the next day, this time more successfully, and then I sewed a bunch more. And I finally attached the arms and legs to the body, and that really made it all come together, and at this point I was pretty proud of myself. This is me finishing the body. I stuffed it and this is what it looked like. And that's the head. This is the final result of the face plate. There's probably a better way of doing this, but I cut a hole in the head that I had already sewn together to try and fit the faceplate in. This was really fiddly and took me a couple of tries, but in the end it seemed to work out, even though the like head was a little small for the faceplate. The phone ran out of storage, so you don't see me doing this, but I glued the fur around the face onto it to hide the seam. I do think it's still important to sew it, so that's it before, and then there's an after. I don't know if it would work as well if your fabric is less fluffy, but then it was time to put on the eyes, and I didn't really like how they looked. I thought it looked a bit goofy, so I thought I'd experiment with a few other designs. I made some white ones and black ones. In retrospect, I actually really like the black. I just thought it looked a bit too like spooky compared to what Labubu brand kind of is, where it's a bit more goofy. So I came back with a bunch more designs and I tried all of them out, along with an eyelid that I made out of UV nail polish. I didn't like those either, but I ended up making some new eyes, and this is what they turned out looking like.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.